Hey, congratulations on your new film, Broke.
Thank you.
We have to love these, these modern Western
Yeah,
films, especially since
yeah,
Taylor Sheridan brought it all back to us.
absolutely.
But Carlyle, let's hear from you first. Is where the original idea for Broke came from?
I think the original idea came from like a much broader question about you know, I think it happens to a lot of people, maybe a little bit younger than me now, but it was happening to me when I wrote it about, am I on the right path? Have I made the right decisions in life? Um, is what I'm doing like the right thing? The big existential questions in life, that kind of like I don't know. At least for me, like many a nights you wake up in a cold sweat and you're going like, "Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be able to do this forever?" And so I think that was like the thematic context uh for this movie. And then it's kind of then about taking the things in my life, like the things around me, that I'm familiar with, whether it's ranching or farming or rodeo, like things that are just kind of have always been around me or part of my life, and sort of piecing together kind of like a meditation on that concept. Um, it wasn't exactly like a lightning strike thing. I guess it was, to actually put pen to paper, but Um, I think it was just a lot of like deeper archetypal ideas that kind of like came together. And when I wrote it, it just sort of was there.
That's actually amazing because this character that you created for True is very, very complex, especially the fact that you use your back country western background to create a
Mhm.
sort of a rodeo character, which
Mhm. Yeah,
which I've seen many rodeo films in the
yeah,
past. A lot of
yeah,
these people who participate in rodeo seem to be very complex or struggling, inside,
yeah,
especially for a career.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not an easy lifestyle, and there's not a lot of money to be made in it. Um, I think if you're at the tippy top, you can do well, but I think most people struggle just to get to the next one. Um, and I just really wanted to show kind of that struggle, but also to show it with dignity and to show like there's real beauty in that world, and it's understandable why people don't want to quit it or don't want to give up on it. But at a certain point, you kind of have to. And then who are you when you have to make that decision, or if when that decision is made for you?
Now, do you have a direct link to the rodeo background, or is this your personal love for rodeo?
I do have a direct link in the sense that when I was really little, I did rodeos, and my dad would do like a lot of stuff with rodeos, like opening ceremonies and stuff like that. I didn't compete beyond like the junior rodeo stuff. Um, but I've always been around it. A lot of my dear friends competed or still compete. But I do ranch with my dad, so we run cows and stuff like that. So it's just something that's around me. It's kind of my culture and my environment. So it is very close to everything I do every day.
Now, in order to get into that mental capacity of True, tell us
Mhm.
the process of casting Wyatt Russell
Yeah.
as True.
Wyatt, when he got a hold of the script, I remember we had a conversation. He responded very immediately and very strongly to the script. I think it just sort of spoke to something he'd been looking for, or just something inside of him. But we spoke, and he was extremely passionate and really, really wanted to make the movie, and not only just perform in the movie, but help me actually get it going. He's a producer on the film as well, so he was passionate on every level. And one thing about Wyatt that, in addition to just his incredible acting chops and his pedigree as like, this son of Kurt Russell doing Westerns, so he felt natural and looked natural. But in addition to all that, he has a really interesting story coming from professional hockey before was an actor, and he had dealt with a lot of injury and concussions and struggled with kind of the exact transformational uh, existential dilemma of True in his own kind of like life, moving on from hockey. So I think it just all seemed natural and correct. Like he wasn't even really going to have to do a ton of work getting into that headspace. I think he just already had lived it, and he was able to just kind of go tap into that when we'd get on set. And yeah, it's just very natural. Like I just knew it was the right choice, and I firmly believe he was the right choice.
How do you prepare someone like Wyatt for some of the scenes where, there are partial stunts. I know you use stuntmen
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
some of these scenes, but there's also the environment that seem to be very challenging. How do you prepare someone and direct someone like Wyatt through these scenes?
Yeah. Um, like you said, we had a really incredible crew of like wranglers and stuntmen who are all extremely good cowboys, and I was able to determine that really fast. I mean, these guys were all champion rodeo guys in their own right and still ranch and ride horses. I mean, they're the real deal. Whether it was Rick Moffitt or Danny Edmo or Sean and Casey Bird, like these are guys that some of them I didn't even know did stunt work or wrangling, but I'd known from their days just competing in professional rodeo. So when I saw that they were available to work on the film, I thought, all right, we're in good hands. And so a lot of it then became about number one, just sort of anytime we do anything with a horse or rodeo stuff, it's just like proximity to them would make everything real. And Wyatt was very hungry to know exactly what was real and how to do it correctly. And they were so great about showing him how to hold things or do things. And Wyatt can ride, but then there's like just another level that you can't really expect many actors to know about because you'd have to be a professional to do it. But Wyatt was really good at really studying and getting it right. And then some of it was, he's going through the motions and kind of like, I guess you could say, it's like I'm off. I know the scene is going to be without sound, so I'm off camera, just saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. Kind of just directing his hand motions on some of the stuff. And there are definitely some scenes where we'd finish and Wyatt would be like, that was so much fun. He's on horseback and he's sort of showing him dallying after we rope the bull, and I'm saying like face up and dally and pull back. Like it was a lot of fun. I mean, we just really tried to have like a lot of fun with that stuff so that everything felt natural and nobody was tense because people can get tense around big animals. And so I think it was about being safe and knowing what you're doing, and uh and I think kind of knowing what I was doing worked to our advantage because I could tell Wyatt exactly what needed to be done. And then also in the edit, I kind of knew how to polish everything to look very natural.
What about the environments of the snowstorm? Because that must have been
Yeah.
really really tough and rough for your actor and your crew.
Yeah, that really was tough. I know like Wyatt definitely like very heroically struggled with all of that because it was 10 days of just bitter cold with very few creature comforts, which I guess in one sense worked to our advantage because then you're not acting, you're just reacting. If he looks uncomfortable, he is uncomfortable. Um, you know, um, but yeah, it's tough to stack those days one after another. I don't think it got easier the longer we were in the snow. I think it just got more and more miserable. But we did our best to keep him healthy and keep him motivated. But I think there were some doubts in his mind on day one, or day two when we're burying him in the snow. But no, he was really game to try anything. mean, it's like snowing. We're like, look, go just go walk through that really cold, waist deep river. Of course, we were always safe, but even if you're safe, it's still miserable. And then to do it a couple times, it's just, I don't know. He was a champ. He was an absolute champ, but we just did most of it for real, and it was pretty miserable.
Did you have to have like two different production calendars to basically film your scenes? Because
Yeah.
obviously one appears to be like in the fall, and all of a sudden a
Yep.
winter storm. It's not
Yeah.
like you could conjure up a winter storm for your own production.
Exactly. Yeah, we shot for 10 days in February in Montana, and then we took like a I think like a 3 month break, and then came back to the same exact spot, and yeah, just continued to shoot and had a more traditional you know film shoot at that point. But the winter shoot was a little more stripped down because I think only maybe two or three actors were featured in any of that stuff. So it was really stripped down. Um, and the challenge was kind of just the weather and the logistics and learning the environment. And then the summer was just a more traditional shoot. But yeah, we did have two different production schedules, which on a small budget is a very risky and challenging thing to do because stopping all of your momentum and then just hoping that everybody can make it back in 3 months, is pretty nerve-wracking. So I consider myself pretty blessed and fortunate that it all came back together.
Were all the locations in Montana as you previously mentioned?
Every location. Yep. We shot in and around Butte, Montana, like a little town called Anaconda and Deer Lodge, and then Butte. Those were like the three main places, and then rodeos all around the state.
Well said. Can you address the rest of the cast that your lovely cast that
Yeah, we had a
supported the
great
wedding?
cast, like, Mary McDonnell and Tom Skerritt, Johnny Birchtold, and Auden Thornton. I mean, just a really, really wonderful cast. Everyone was so professional and so natural. Everybody kind of knew the tone of the movie and just sort of like slipped in so like naturally. And I love the cast. They were easy to work with, and just we had a lot of fun making the movie.
Well said. And I understand this is your directorial debut. How was that
It
experience
is.
for yourself?
It's intense, you feel the pressure and you want to do a good job. And especially since I wrote it, it's very personal and you want to get it right. So yeah, it was definitely challenging, but I've been working in the business for a long time. My brother is also a director. I've been writing for a long, long time in this business, but yeah, it's definitely another level of pressure and responsibility. But I know for something this personal, I wanted that responsibility. I wanted to be the one to sort of live or die by the consequences.
You want to take up this challenge again as a director, or you want to go back and
Absolutely. Oh
write?
yeah, yeah. I really enjoy. I love directing. I love working with actors, and I love the post-production process. I love editing. I love kind of like smoothing off the hard edges and finding surprising kind of moments that maybe you didn't expect to find in all the footage. Um, I love, putting the music in and the score. I just love putting it all together. I really love the process. So yeah, I mean, if I got the right opportunity, I absolutely would love to direct another one.
So what's up next with you up the pipeline, or do you want to stick into this modern Western genre?
Not necessarily stick to this. It's what I know, and I do have a few more stories in this vein that I'd really like to tell. I'm kind of a big fan of like um, Western art, so to speak. So I think there's dimensions of like the West that maybe haven't been put on screen per se, whether like in this, like a cowboy artist or a cowboy poet or things like that that are kind of subcultures within subcultures that I'd really kind of like the opportunity to portray in a authentic way. So I would love to work in this vein, but I work in other genres too, especially when I write. So I could I there's a lot of different ideas and directions that I'm willing and kind of want to go. So I know it sounds a little distracted, but I don't think I would just stick to this, but I do have more stories to tell in this world and a few other subcultures that I really like and kind of live in.
Well said. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question with you, Carlisle, because the best part of this film is the character, the character study of True, because this is very highly relatable to a lot of
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And for you personally, because obviously this is a piece of you that you've written into your
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
So do you feel now today that
Mhm.
that you have a sense of direction in your career and life?
I think yes and no. I think that that question is something that consistently comes back up, just as we reach different stages in life, whether it's becoming a dad or becoming a dad to a second kid or whatever it is. I mean, it's not just about career. It's, I think, about big kind of like turning points in life and that sort of tension you feel with life when you reach that point, and it kind of tests your confidence in the decisions you've made. So on the one hand, yes, and in some ways, I feel like I'm doing what I was meant to do, but that doesn't mean I don't consistently go like, what am I doing? You know, or I don't wake up in the middle of the night and go, did I make the right decision? Is this the direction I should be going? So. It's a yes and no, which I know might seem like a cop out, but I think it's the most honest answer I can give, which is I don't think we ever stop wondering if we're doing what we're meant to be doing or what we should be doing.
Well, that's what makes Broca such a wonderful film. Carlisle,
Thank
thank you
you.
very
Thank
much
you so
for
much.
speaking to us about your film. I certainly hope that you keep up with this and do
Thank you.
more of these stories because it's very emotional and very highly relatable. So let's circle back
Thank you
and do
so
this
much.
again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please. I thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.